for tonight, look for thunderstorms likely, low down to 70, and then for tomorrow it'll be thunderstorms, variable clouds, and a high of about 86 degrees. And say, if you've heard of a school called Weinberg Elementary, they were the top school in the country last night.
We know that this is a very happy day for you, and we're all excited for you. It has been emotional, but you know we love you.
So we were out there today, and the principal, who is Camille Casteel, and her secretary Donna, took a ride in Sky 12. The principal left the school. She's now going to work at the district, but Mrs. Casteel was also the top principal. And boy, that was quite a little show. Lots of tears. The kiddies hated to see him go, and as you can imagine, we hate to. It was just kind of fun.
Well, we offer our congratulations.
This highly unusual ride to the district office began the next phase of a remarkable and groundbreaking career. In honor of and gratitude for your 20 years as superintendent of Chandler Unified School District, Camille, this one's for you. Camille Romley Casteel was born in Phoenix, Arizona to Bill and Sally Romley. Her parents' families immigrated from Baskinta, Lebanon in the early 1900s. With brother Bill and sisters Michelle and Cheryl, Camille was raised with old-fashioned values: family first, take care of each other, and no matter the consequences, do the right thing. These values became the cornerstone of her life and the hallmark of her leadership. Camille's love of education began early. By the time she was in the 3rd grade, she knew she wanted to become a teacher. Camille went on to attend North High in Phoenix, where she was very involved in school activities, among them serving as captain of the Palm Line. Her next stop was Arizona State University, where she followed her dream and pursued a degree in elementary education. She completed her student teaching on April 2nd, 1971. The following day, April 3rd, she married her devoted and loyal supporter, Tom Casteel. The years around 1971 were very tough for those wanting to secure employment as a teacher. Facing this situation squarely, the new graduate contacted a family friend for advice.
Our families were so close. Camille's dad ran our frozen food and produce operation. He was closer than family. When Camille went to college and she graduated, he called me, and there's a Lebanese custom, everybody's honey. One of these days I'll have to tell you a story how I got in trouble using the word honey at a Board of Regents meeting. It was funnier than hell. But at any rate, he called me and says, "Honey, Camille is graduating from ASU as a teacher. Can you help her, find a job?" I said, "Sure." I said, just tell her to call me tomorrow and I'll find out. So I went to see Ted Perry. And I says, "Ted, Camille Casteel," Camille Romley was her name. Camille Romley has graduated from ASU and she's interested in a teaching position. I says, "I'm not asking you to hire her, but would you be so kind as to interview her and tell me what you think? How capable is she?" I says, from my knowledge and my background, I know her to be an outstanding student.
I think at that time, Bruce Jackson probably was the principal that hired her.
I was looking for someone just like her because she's ambitious, she's goal-oriented, she can be a really good team player, but she can step up into the leadership role.
In 1971, I was a research assistant at ASU, and we heard about a school without walls, and which was at Erie School, and some phenomenal teachers over there. And so that's when I first, heard about Camille.
She was first grade teacher there at Knox. She would do everything that she needed to do in her classroom to be ready for the next day. She would work in conjunction with them in terms of everything they all needed to be ready to do for the next day. And then she would come up to the school office and ask if there was anything that needed to be done, that she could help. And there always was.
She cared not just about the kids, but also the families that she was working with. So, And everyone just respected her throughout the school, not just the first grade team, but everyone.
In '77, we were instituting a new program, another one called TOL, Teacher on Leave. And that's where the plan was we would select a highly productive master teacher and bring them to the district level and have them go out to the individual schools and work with teachers.
I was an assistant superintendent with Dr. Perry, and he asked me to go down and see her in the classroom where she was teaching elementary school. And I went in and said, "The boss wants you to come up to the district office." We had a position for her, and she says, "I'm not going." I said, "Well, you have to go because we've already replaced you down here." So she came up there dragging and kicking.
Well, once everybody at the district office got full exposure to Camille, then she was involved in kind of on a fast track.
And then she continued with her education and got her administration's degree as she was working. And we opened up a new elementary school at Weinberg. And so I went into her office and said, "We're putting you at Weinberg. I don't want to go."
When she was at Weinberg, she built a lot of support from the parents out there.
Under her leadership, they had some neat programs out there. That I remember one, they went out, the teachers had to go out and visit in the home of every kid.
It was a great opportunity for the children to show off where they lived. It certainly, as a teacher, gave you insight into that. Met all kinds of animals, pigs, chickens, cows, all the things that they have out there, and spent time in playhouses, and it really was wonderful, and I think it was a great memory for the children, too.
Weinberg became a blue ribbon school in 1986. Camille firmly believes that the way public education becomes more valued in our community, in our country, is that people should know about the good things that are happening in education. And we felt like we had a really good thing going at Weinberg Elementary School. So we did apply for the state recognition. Ultimately, that led to the state winners being considered at the national level, and we were recognized as a National Blue Ribbon School. She was very honored to be selected, and it was a great time in Weinberg's history.
Then as we were growing, we needed an assistant superintendent for elementary education. Same old story. "Camille, we want you to come to the district office." "I'm not going." So drug her in the district office, assistant superintendent for elementary ed. She was happy working with kids face to face. And I don't think she even imagined in herself the possibilities that she had for her life. Dr. Perry recognized that. And you put her in a job, she was going to finish that job. She didn't look forward to the next step. And she was a bulwark of support for the superintendent and myself.
Well, the first time I ever saw Camille was many years ago when I was taking master classes from Dr. Conley. And Camille walked by and Dr. Conley yelled at her, "Hey Camille, what's your job here?" And she stopped, came back in the room and says, "It's to make you look good." And so that was the first time I ever saw who she was.
Ted Perry retired from Chandler Unified in June of 1991, and Dr. Howard Conley succeeded him as superintendent. And so, in her 20th year with the district, Camille was promoted to associate superintendent. The following spring, she was honored by the East Valley Tribune Educational Leadership Awards as the Chandler Administrator of the Year.
I'm not only privileged, but I was lucky to have served with her, not over her, but served with her.
Early on, she was not just really overseeing elementary, she was overseeing some secondary, and she was overseeing the vision planting for the school, the growth. Her hand and her brain were really in every area, and people used her for that reason. So I don't think there was not a lot of a learning curve for her.
I had absolutely no thoughts in my mind other than that she would be superintendent when I left. And I certainly recommend it to the board that they not go on a national search, that they had a national candidate right there.
Hiring Dr. Camille Casteel, as that particular board did, was probably the most important thing that we have done for this district in all the time that I have been on the board. Most important single thing.
In the end, as we brought those candidates in, those finalists in, there was no question that Dr. Casteel was heads above.
And it was pretty late, it was bedtime. Our president at the time, who was Trish Miller, got on the phone. We decided the president should be the one to invite Camille to become our next superintendent. So she called Camille at home. And I don't know if Camille has told you this story, but the president said she heard Camille call out to her husband, Tom, they want me to be superintendent.
Her favorite story was she would have done a lot better as superintendent if it hadn't taken her so long to take care of my mess that I left her.
I remember when the governing board decided that Camille Casteel would be our next superintendent. I told Camille, I said, we need to get your photograph on the walls to go along with the previous superintendents of our district. And she was so resistant. She said, no, absolutely not. And, I think she had so much respect for her predecessors, the previous superintendents. And we're talking about people like Howard Conley and Ted Perry, Kenny Knox, W.G. Austin, and Fred Austin, the 5 superintendents of our modern era. And she hadn't created a mark yet. And I think she was very uncomfortable with the idea of having her own photograph, even as the so-called CEO of our organization. And we reached a compromise, and she agreed to have her photograph on the walls as long as we included student photographs throughout the district office. And to this day, 20 years later, we continue to include photographs of kids. And of course, Camille, her picture is going to remain on the wall indefinitely.
I think knowing how to work with people has made her successful, yes.
She brings on, she surrounds herself with quality. One of her big skills is she hires very competent, quality people.
I think it's just her awareness of people and then supporting the people, not telling them how but what.
But I love that she let people run with their talents. I think that's a big success.
Camille really, she picked people well. She hired people well. People that absolutely loved children and loved the work that they did.
And you can even tell how she runs her meetings, that she's a teacher at heart and she cares if people learn.
I was Camille Casteel's student when she was a principal at Weinberg Elementary School. I really feel very fortunate to have her as a mentor now that I get to see in this leadership capacity and get to see her how she interacts with community, her grace, her poise, her tenacity. A lot of the people that were at Weinberg are still here. My first grade teacher's still here, my kindergarten teacher's a principal, my 5th grade teacher's still in Chandler, so it's really neat to be able to go to our district functions and see some of my old educators, and it's a testament to Dr. Casteel and what she's done for this community and stayed the course.
If she knew that you were interested in something or cared deeply about something, she helped make you a path. She helped you to see a path to get there.
She's obviously very perceptive and, is, I think, watching when you don't even realize it, and opens up those opportunities. Not that they're given. I mean, you earned them, you work hard. But I would say, even as I look back at principal selections over the years, she looks a lot at matching the personality of the principal with the community and the climate of the school to ensure that it's a good fit.
Prior to the 06-07 school year, I applied for the job at Perry to be the principal, and after I went through the whole interview process, I was at work at McClintock High School, and my secretary called me on the phone and she's whispering, "Hey, there's someone here to see you." I go, "Who is it?" "It's Camille." And I said, she doesn't have an appointment. She goes, I know, so I'll be right there. And I came in and Camille was sitting at my desk and I said, hey, it was awkward. And she said, let's go walk around your campus. And I went home and told my wife about it. She said, she's just making sure your campus is clean.
Well, Camille's very supportive, and she's a motivator in her own way. She's not like the coach motivator that rants and raves, but you just know. And she wants to be the best at everything. And as the principal, you better do what you can to be the best.
She is very forward thinking. So Camille is always 10 steps beyond everyone else, which is not always a good thing to work with somebody like that too, I'll just let you know. Extremely competent and 10 steps ahead of you. But in this case, it has really paid such dividends to the district because she was very forward thinking. So coming up with a choice and moving forward with the choice for schools was something that was really pretty controversial.
But I've got to tell you, there have been many times in the last 15 years that early one morning I'll call Camille and I'll say, Camille, I've got a great idea. Last night I had a dream that we did blah, 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 blah. And she said, that is such a great idea. Let me tell you how far along we are on that.
I'm convinced she can see into the future. She's so forward thinking, and she has, it seems like she has a plan for everyone, wouldn't you agree? I believe it was my second year of teaching at Weinberg. She called me into her office, and she has those black eyes that kind of go right to the back of your head. And so I was very nervously sitting there, and she looked at me and she said, so when are you going to get your master's degree in administration? And I literally turned around and looked behind me because I was sure she was talking to somebody else.
Camille is first and foremost about relationships. There's no doubt that the qualities of excellence and reaching goals and doing better are a huge part of this district. But the thing she values is relationships and treating each other with respect and empathy.
Again, going back to relationships with people, because people will work for her. Community members respect her. She goes out in the community and talks to people, and I think that goes a long way.
We also thank Camille for being a strong partner and making that part of the culture of the district, where interacting with businesses and then, in my case, the local government, that there would be discussions with our police chief about how things are going. There would be discussions for fire safety and how things are going. There would be discussions if there were ever problems in the community, that as a partner, what could the education district leaders, teachers do to make improvements? And so that was always appreciated. She is a great partner.
One of the things that really stands out for me for our relationship between Camille and the city is that the city and the school board really don't communicate that frequently. And Camille provides that bridge. She's the one that links us to whatever is of mutual benefit for the city and the school and keeps us involved in the things that really matter. And I think that's what makes her such an outstanding leader.
The first thing that comes to mind, I always look at her and say, you just don't age a bit. I'm amazed.
And she looks the same as she did when she got hired 20 years ago.
I do remember this one thing when, in the late 70s, Camille was a ballet dancer.
Yes, she was.
Well, if you want to do admire her hair.
Her hair. How does her hair look so good all the time? I'm not the only person that wants to know that.
She's in fantastic shape. Holy cow. And that's why I got to keep myself in shape to hang there with her.
Well, first of all, you have to know she's a workout queen, right? Everyone knows that because you can see it. And we won't talk about how old she is, but if I looked that good, at 30, I would have been a very happy person.
I got a note on my door that said, if you don't stop sending out brochures to our people, there's going to be some dog in the neighborhood who's going to poop on your lawn.
I happen to live in Brad's neighborhood.
We we wanted to tell all of our patrons all about the nice things we were doing. So, with our best professional sense, we developed a marketing campaign.
It came to our attention that the Gilbert School District had mailed flyers to families within our boundaries.
I knew exactly who that was from. That was from Susan Eisinger, and I know who sent her. It was Camille Casteel.
Brad took it way more seriously. Well, we did mean it seriously about the flyers, but I'm not sure that I would have followed through with the dog.
I'll never forget that, nor forgive her.
On her 10th anniversary as a superintendent, Camille said that her legacy, when she eventually decides to step aside, won't need to be marked by a name on a building, but by how people remember her. I want people to remember that I cared, that my decisions made a difference. Camille has a sense of compassion and caring that comes, it's in her core. I think it was the way she was raised.
Education is a people business, and she cares about people. That shows in everything and anything she does.
Camille is such a people person. I mean, she's so accessible. There's not a single person that can't get through her door, go to her office, speak with her. She's got a little coffee cup there, so she invites people to come and have coffee with her.
She cares for people. She cares about people.
I think her compassion for people and for difficult situations.
She has implemented the Chandler Crisis Fund for our children that have life situations which are difficult. She was a moving force behind the Chandler Care Center.
She's available, she's kind, she's empathetic.
How she values people.
Camille has a yellow pad in her office, and she writes down if she knows somebody's in the hospital, or they have a loved one who's sick, or they have a loss in their family. She writes their name down. She might often provide money to meet a need. She always calls. She sends cards.
She's always writing notes, and I think I've kept every single one of them because they meant so much, because you knew that she was writing from her heart. It wasn't just a note. It was a note from Camille.
Here's to many more years of your leadership, innovation, mentorship, and compassionate care for CUSD.